Hello guys, Sherry here with Fit to Be Live, and today I'm going to talk to you about garlic. This was the first year that I have ever planted garlic. I planted this in the fall. When it comes as seed, it's all the little, well, you get bulbs just like this, and you've got to separate them, and each little clove is its own seed. And I was actually a little bit worried because typically what should happen is you need to plant these with enough time for them to sprout and grow maybe an inch or two and then die back before winter hits. What happens is all of that energy goes back into the seed, and when springtime comes, they regerminate and up they come. I didn't actually get any growth when I planted them in the fall, and I kind of thought, shoot, I guess I waited too long because winter hit and they just didn't have the opportunity to grow. And I kind of forgot about it. But lo and behold, seeds are very forgiving, and this is the lesson that I'd really like to impart to you. I was pleasantly surprised that the first thing that came up in my garden this past spring was my garlic. So low maintenance and so worthwhile. As you probably know, if you eat garlic, if you buy fresh garlic, number one, it's very hard to find local garlic unless you're going to a farmer's market. So in the winter time, you're buying products that are not from in your area, at least where I live, in central Ontario, Canada. You cannot find garlic that is from Ontario in the winter time. So this is such a delight to me, and I wish that I had planted probably 3 times more, but that's okay because I will be keeping some of this for seed for next season, and I will be planting more this year. But basically it grew and it did very well this year. The bulbs are not massive, but that's okay. I mean, I'm looking at these, they probably have at least 6 to 7 little cloves on each bulb, and they're nice size. When we picked them from the garden, I did very little with them. As you can see, they still have a lot of dirt attached to them, but I basically spread them on newspaper in a shady place outside and allowed them to dry. And really, that's all they really need. If they can be in a dry place with good air circulation, 1 week is enough to cure them. When I picked them, there were still some green tops. Probably 2/3 to maybe a little bit more had already died back, but there was still some green left on it. And you want to allow them to dry to this point where you don't see any more green. Each of these leaves represents a layer of wrap. So you want to wait until most of them have died back, because that means that there's a good, I guess, insulator. Just think of it as like saran wrap. It's keeping the bulb fresh, all of this dry paper. So you don't want to peel that off, and you want to be careful when you're handling it once it's dry, because that helps to keep those cloves nice and fresh for the winter. And these will keep now probably 8 months to a year. They're going to stay fresh, which is delightful. I can't wait to be using this in the dead of winter. All I'm going to do today is just show you what I do after this point, once they have all dried. And you're gonna laugh at me, but that's okay. I have a hair pick and I just use that to sort of loosen the dirt that is. I don't want to cut the roots off. I guess you can. I don't know, that opens up the bottom, which I don't want to do, but I'm gonna give some of these as gifts, and to me, this is adorable. You know, having this little, it's natural, but I don't want to send people home with dirt. So I'm just kind of using that pick to kind of loosen the dirt from within those roots. And I'm not going to wet it. I'm not going to wash it. We want to keep it dry. That is the key. So this one is actually really clean. Then I just take a dry paper towel and I wipe from bottom to top. And I just wipe basically any dirt that's on it. So there we go. That's all I do. And I'm gonna do that with each of them, and then I'm gonna take maybe 3 or 4, and I'm just gonna kind of braid the tops together and use twine to tie them together, because you'll end up with something that's aesthetically pleasing. It makes a beautiful gift. Garlic is a wonderful gift. Garlic is very nutritious. You know, it's something that adds so much to any culinary opportunities, flavor-wise and health-wise, and it's just, I think it's a wonderful gift to give people. You could say, I grew this fresh from my garden and I'm giving this to you to enhance your culinary experience. It's wonderful. You can braid these when they're still drying. I would give them probably 24 to 48 hours after you pull them out of the garden, just for the initial really wet, soil or whatever to fall off of them. But after that point, it might be easier to braid them then and then let them dry braided. I didn't do that. You can still braid them, it's just obviously a lot more difficult, but they're not so brittle that they're cracking. And they will stay together and it still looks pretty, but that's a little tip. And if you're buying organic seeds especially, and if you're buying non-hybrids, you're going to want to keep, or I would highly recommend that if you haven't thought about it, you do keep some of your best garlic bulbs for seeds to use in the next season. As hard as it is for me to do, this is the toughest part. So I've gone and selected the biggest and best bulbs, and these are going back into the ground in about a month so that I will have them for next spring. And I probably am going to kick myself for not planting more than this. We'll see what we do next year, but you want to pull your very biggest and very best bulbs because you are more likely to get bigger and better bulbs the following year. So you always want to pull your strongest, best looking seed to start the next season of plants. It's so exciting. Gardens are amazing. I really hope that you are inspired by this, and even if you don't grow a big garden, I hope you take the opportunity to just have a small, even if it's a garden box, even if it's a pot on your deck of something, tomatoes, a cucumber plant, herbs, anything that just becomes your food and something that you can enjoy, that you planted the seed and cultivated. It's so rewarding. I hope you've grown some garlic in your garden this year, and if you haven't, I would highly recommend it because it's a very easy thing to grow and you get a lot out of it at the end of the season.